Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video we are going to cover the client scripts. So this is part 3. So if you have not seen the part 1 and part 2, then you can see the link in the description part. So part 1 we covered the scripting overview, part 2 is we covered the scripting syntax editor and what all options are available over there. In part 3 we are now covering client script. So we will try to cover the client script and the practical together, but in case practical is not covered in this session, then you need to check the part 4. So let's go with the client scripts. So as we understand, client-side scripts are used to make the changes behavior on forms, fields or list in real time. So some of the examples we have here, like make the fields mandatory. If you want to make some field mandatory on the form, we can use the client scripts. If you want to set one field dependency on the another one, we can still use the client scripts. So any type of changes, modifications requires on the form, we can use client scripts. So modify choice list options, hide or show any form sections, hide any field, show any field, display any alert based on some conditions, manage or prohibit the list editing. All these options can be done using the client script itself. So as discussed, any behavior which can be observed only at web browser layer, that we can do using client scripts and UI policies. Okay, now if you go further, let's understand what all trigger and execute conditions we have in the client script. So rather than here, I'll go to the tool, I'll go to ServiceNow and we will explain more. So I am at ServiceNow instance. If you write the client script, then we can browse client script under system definitions. So here you can see this is the list view of client script where we have all client scripts written here. And active true means that the client script is applicable to this instance. If we make something false, that means it's not running at this present until we mark is at active. Table would be the table where exactly the client script is written. So if we are writing any client script at incident form, the table will be incident. Application is global. So this is the scope of the application. Okay. There are different type of client script that can be written. So you can see here on change, on load, on cell edit, and a few more we have. So we will go through the client script and we'll try to understand all those options. So let me first open the existing one. So we can search one of the client script which is at incident table. Okay, so let's open 2 rather than 1 and let's see the changes. Okay, so this is the client script. Now we just discussed there are 2 things. One, the trigger conditions. Okay, here you can see name is the name. You can keep any name. Table, on that we are going to implement this particular client script. UI type. So in UI type we have 3 options: mobile, service portal, desktop, and all. When we say all, that means if someone is executing that particular option from form on a mobile, then it will be executed if we are selecting all. If we only select the desktop, that means that particular policy is going to run only when someone is browsing application from desktop only. Okay, so this particular client script is applicable for desktop and there are multiple types. So let's discuss on the types one by one. On submit. On submit means whenever we save any form, then that is called submit. Okay, so when we are submitting any form, that point of time this particular script is going to run. When we load the form, okay, so on load use when we load the form. So if we are opening, let's say I want to open the incident form. So if I open it, and as soon as I click, okay, now the form related to that particular incident that's loaded. So this is the load. So based on the load, if whatever policies are written, all those policies will going to execute. So there could be a policy, if I have access to this tool, to the ServiceNow, okay, then probably it will always show the specific assignment group for me, or it will show the caller tool. So such policies can be applicable. Okay, for example, let's create a new incident and see if we can see some behavior on it. Create new. Okay, so on create new, it opens a new form. Okay, when we submit this form, that is called on submission. When I loaded this form initially, that is called on load. So again, go back to the client script and let's understand other options. On cell edit and on change. So on change means if we are changing any of the field. So if I open this particular incident, I am changing this category from software to network. Okay, so if I write on change, and on change will always ask like which field we are asking about. Okay, so on change on category field, if that policy or rule is there, then that particular client script is going to be executed. And next one we have, so you can see here, this is the on change policy. So as soon as on change is here, another field populates, field name, priority, right? And you also need to notice the execution part here. Whatever we are writing here in this script, that is going to execute. So for on change, there is a function on change appears here, which says control old value and new value. So it always compare the old value with new value on change. So this particular rule is going to execute based on this defined policy. So what this policy says is, it says whenever there is a priority change happens and new old value is not equal to new value. That means if I go here and change this priority, right, and as soon as I submit this priority changes, ideally this particular rule should be running. I need not to save that form. I need not to save this particular incident form. Okay, this rule, if it's active, then this rule is going to run. Okay, so what it says make the short description mandatory. But when the priority changes. As of now, it's anyway short description is already mandatory, so we will not be able to see any impact. But let's quickly make some changes to this policy and let's save it. Okay, so I make it active and let's save this. Okay, whenever we try with this client script, always refresh your form before you take any action or if you have made any changes to the client script. Because as I said, client script always run on the browser. Okay, so browser always works on the session cookies, and accordingly it actually works. Okay, so what rule we have made active as of now? If we change the priority, if new value is not equal to the old value, then it will set description as a mandatory. Okay, and if this is same, then it will return. That means form will not proceed further. So as soon as I loaded this form, the value was impact urgency is same, priority was 1 earlier also. Okay, so let's change it and please have a look here on the description part. So let's make it 2, and you can see as soon as the priority got changed, description become mandatory. Okay, that's how client script works. So this policy is on change. Similarly, we have on cell edit. Okay, so please have a look here. Okay, so let me create a new policy, then probably we would be able to see the header changes accordingly. So let's create new. Okay, I can keep any name. So let's say test on cell change priority. Okay, so let's make on cell edit, and which table? We are working on the incident table. So let's select the incident. And field name, as I said, let's write priority. So you need to have a look here on the execution part. As soon as I selected the on cell edit, it becomes the function of on cell edit. So based on this particular selection, the function name changes. Okay, and there is a predefined body that gets applied. So there is a callback function that's already there predefined, and save and close is called automatically. So as soon as we make some changes to the cell edit, it will save the new value. Okay. Now what do we mean by on cell edit? On cell edit is basically part of the list view. Okay, so if I go here, if I go to incident list view, if I make any change here, that is part of on cell edit. So I can double click, and as soon as I make this change, that particular policy is going to execute. So the policy could be, if I make category, if I change the category, then assignment group should be mandatory. This could be one of the policy, right? So if we set such policy, then accordingly it will come. So let's make one on cell policy here, and let's execute this. Okay, so in this cell edit, what we can do is, let's put a condition here. If we are changing the state, or changing the priority is not usually allowed out of box also. Okay, then we need to show a message here like priority change is not applied in list view. Okay, so here please have a look on the parameter. SysID is the parameter of the record. Okay, table is on which table we are performing this action. Old value. So as we are changing the priority here, so old value of priority and new value of priority, it always takes the backend value. So old value for priority, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 is critical, high, medium, low, like that. Okay, so we need to check if new value, somebody is like putting 1, we want to highlight an alert message. Okay, so this is client side of messaging. Okay, if it's a server side, we always use GS dot, that is guide system dot. For client side, we can use alert, and we can check the console.log. Okay, so we will anyway going to discuss in our coming slides in this session itself. So let's set up an alert for now. Priority change is not allowed. Okay, and let's save, ensure this is active. On cell of priority. So go to incident and refresh this page first. So anytime somebody is going to change the priority, ideally it should show on 1 this particular alert message. Priority change is not allowed. But make a note, we have not made this particular note to any of the other priorities, right? Then because this is a restriction, but as we have not put any alert, so if I try to change it to 2, alert should not display. So you notice alert is not displayed. Okay, so this on cell edit will only work based on the conditions we have defined. Okay, so we discussed all 4 type of client scripts. Let's go to the PPT one more time. So here you can see these are the trigger conditions, these are the additional conditions we can put, what view it should be applied. So here you can see view is ESS. So if we want any specific view where it should be applied, where the policy should be applied, or rule to be applied, then we need to select this particular view. So if we see here, then Okay, yeah. So global means it will be applied on all of the views. If it's a specific view, we need to remove this global and we need to mention that view backend name. So for end user self-service, it's ESS. If we mention ESS, then any policy what we apply, that will only be applicable to ESS view. So okay, I cannot show it here. This particular view is not visible here, but yeah, usually when a record is saved, then only we can see. So let's open one of the record. So here you can see this view is default. Okay, so any policy which is set as in global will be applied to default. But if I want to apply policy to any other specific views, we need to define it. So if I want policy only on the self-service, then we need to basically define this particular parameter to ESS. Similarly, every view has its backend name that we need to check, and we need to set that particular view. Okay, now there is one more option, that is order. Let me see. So there is a field called order. So if we have multiple policies, multiple client scripts on single table, okay, and there could be a possibility like on one field itself there are multiple client scripts written, then these client scripts will always execute based on the order defined. So as of now you can see order is not defined, so all of them will execute one by one. But if I mention the order as 100, 200, 300, okay, then accordingly those will be executed. So these four types we saw. Onload. So how onload works? Whenever user want to see a record on the system, whenever it loads, then onload trigger. When they submit, then on submit triggers. If I make changes to the cell on the list view, then on cell edit triggers. Okay, so if I want to restrict any changes, any sort of restriction I want to put for the user not to make the changes, I can go to on cell edit. I can figure out what field it is on, and then we can simply return without making any changes to the values. Okay, and then on change is specifically when we are changing any particular field. Okay, now let's understand some of the APIs which we can use. So if you noticed when we were checking some of the on change, let's make mandatory. Let's open this. Yeah, it's already open. So you can make a note here, G_form. This is the API we are using here. Okay. Similarly, in client script, we can use G_user and G_scratchpad. There are three APIs that can be used. G_form can view any of the form or set the values to any of the form fields. Okay. Now let's quickly go through here. G_form is the glide form, and if you want to hide any specific field, if you want to show, then there is a command called G_form.setVisible. This command is called method. Okay, anything. So this is the object of the class, and this is the method. G_form.setVisible, and we need to mention the field name, and it can mark as true or false. Similarly, if we want to set value, then we need to do the set value. If we want to get the value of the field, we need to use G_form.getValue, and it will have the field name in it. Okay. Now G_user will always pick the current logged in user detail. So if I say G_user.username, then it will pick the user ID, username, and G_user.user_ID will always pick the user ID. Okay. We have the third one. So have a look here in the example. Okay, G_form.getValue number. It picks the number. So there is a caveat to that also we need to know. If we have any of the reference field that value is not directly picked up by G underscore form. For example, here, if I go to incident record and if I say, let's pull G underscore form dot caller or the backend value caller underscore ID, then it will not pick the David Miller. It will always pick the sys ID of David. Okay, so we need to ensure if we are pulling the reference field, then we cannot directly pull it using G underscore form. The choice is we can use G underscore form dot get display value. Okay, so rather than get value, we use get display value. That's where we can see the choice values. But for the reference field, it always returns the sysids. So we need to use, if I want to take the actual name of the user, in this case, we need to use the server side call, server side API call from client side. And there is a way to do it. We can use the Ajax to get the server side value, and from there we can Ajax to this user table, and we can pull the name of the user associated with this particular society. Okay, similarly to the impact, we can get the value of that. So impact could be low, which is set as in 3 at backend, but if I use get display value, I'll get the low. If I use get value, I'll get the backend value as 3. Okay, so we discussed G form, G user. G user is the current logged in user, and we have some of the commands, some of the methods that is coming in next slide. We are going to discuss like has role, dot username, dot user ID, what all methods are available for this particular class. Next is G underscore scratchpad. So G underscore scratchpad basically used to pass the value from client side to server side. Okay, so you can see like pass values like attachment, manager names, or system properties. Is transfer the data. My bad, not from client side to server side. It transfer the data from server side script to client side. So in business rule, we have a display business rule. Display business rule always triggers before the record load to the system. And over there, we set the G scratchpad and some of the property values over there. So whenever that particular record loaded, it loads the specific field value in that G scratchpad, which is accessible to the client scripts. Okay, so G scratchpad is used at client side to pull the data from server side. Let's have a look on the methods here. So G underscore form, we have few methods here. Show field message. So we can see like on selection of any particular field, we can show a field message here. Get value, set value, clear value, add options. So clear value and set value, we can use add options, clear options. For the choice list, we can use this, right? If you want to clean any value, make it empty, then we can use clear value also. Get selection is new record. Is new record is also used to check whether it's a new record insertion. So when we are inserting, then is new record become true. If it's update, is new record will not be true. Add form message and clear all form messages. These are some of the methods which we can use. Okay, this is the way how we can show any of the field messages. So let's try one of the field messages to set. So let's say again I am hitting the priority here. Okay, so whenever someone select the priority, we want to show a field message here itself next to the priority field itself, like it's a major incident. Are you sure? Something like that, right? So let's go to one of the client script on priority change we created. We already have one. So let's use that one. One on priority 1. I can use this one. This is anyway inactive. I'll make the changes according to me, and then I'll mark it as active. Okay, and here, okay, let's have a look on this one also first. So it says return message, confirm get message, submit a priority 1, yes or no. Okay, so let's save this as is, and I can see this is on submit. So record is already submitted. Let's change it to on change. Let's make it priority here and save. Okay, so see, I made this change to on change, but if you make a note here, it was already on submit. So this will throw an error. Okay, so let me just cancel this one and let me save this particular record, so that on change function should load, and then I'll make the detail here. Okay, so now you can see on change function is loaded. Let me just copy paste and have the relevant values only. So this one I can delete. Okay, so on change of gform.getValue, here I can directly check. I need not to catch that value. Here I have the old value and new value, so I can compare. If new value is 1, then return this message. Let's try this. Okay, and refresh. So it's already 1, right? So as we have written on change, so it is not going to reflect as of now, right? So now I made it 2. Now let's change it to 1. So as soon as it becomes 1, it's asking, are you sure? It's a priority 1, do you want to submit? Okay, cancel. So it gives me 2 options. If I say okay, then it will save this and make it urgent priority 1. Otherwise, it will cancel it. Okay. For now, let's show the field message rather than this pop-up. So what we can do? We can go here. Let's make this command, and let's edit here g_form dot show field message. Okay, field message will not ask for the confirmation. Confirmation is a dialog box where it asks for yes or no, okay or cancel. Here it is just an information. Okay, so I can put here, this is a save, make it 2 first, and let's make it 1. Okay, looks like I missed something. Okay, I missed the field name. So field name is priority, small, and so it also shows the syntax here. Okay, I can reload this one. So this is done. This is also done, and let's make it 1. So you can see here, this is the field message next to the priority field because I have put it on priority. This is the priority to give design summary. Alright, so moving here, g_user. So it has different other methods here. For a user, we can get the first name, task name, user ID, username, and there are a few more methods that is called get full name, has role exactly, has role from the list, has role. Okay, so let's see, let's go one by one here. I might not be able to execute, but mostly you can practice. All of them are used in similar. Okay, so we will just go through this example here. g_user.hasRole ITIL. So if a user who is logged in, who is actually making any change to any of the form, if that particular role user has a role as an ITIL, then only the alert message is visible. Like for me, I'm logged in as an admin, right? So we can put this rule. If G underscore user dot has role is admin, then alert it, right? And that also we can put on load. So let's try that. Let's go to client script one, say on. So here you can see G underscore form, G underscore list, G underscore navigation, G underscore user. Okay, as I said in my first session, this is called context help. So here I'm checking if G underscore user dot has role and this is admin, then I want to notify the user. Right, and then let's close this one for now and open it from list view. So as I said, as soon as we open any of the record, okay, then that form gets loaded. So let's load a priority 2 first. Let's see what happens. No alert. And load it. And you can say, it says be careful, you are an admin. Okay, so it always define like you are admin. Okay, here also we got it actually. Okay, because we have not put any condition on the priority. What we have written is, if I load any incident form, it should show be careful, you are admin. Okay, now if we want to have any other specific condition put in, we can put those conditions in the client script, and then accordingly it will happen. Alright, so we have covered all 4 types: on load, on submit, on change, on cell edit. We have also covered these users and form methods here. Now another important part is how to debug, because debugging of the client script is difficult. Then server scripts. Okay, so these are some of the methods. So if we need to debug, there are few things we need to use. Okay, there are response time indicator. I'll show where exactly it is, and the script debug messages that we need to have a look. We can use the alert in between when we are writing any code, so that it should tell like till which position or which line the code is executing correctly. So we can put multiple alerts while developing, and before it goes to production, we need to remove all of that. It's good practice to encapsulate our code into try and catch block, so that in case of any errors, that is notified to the users. And we can also use G underscore form dot add error message, show field message. So show field message we already saw. Similarly, we can add the add error message, add info message. Add error message actually show on top of the forms. So like this. Okay, so this is this kind of a warning. This is add warn message. Similarly, we have add info message, add warn message, add error message. And other ways, one more ways, you can use the browser console F12 to catch the runtime error. So let's make some errors in our client script and see what error, how can we find out. Okay, so let's use this one. And this is on priority. So when I change the priority, this rule should trigger, right? And let's quickly have a look if this got saved properly. Yes, it got saved. And let's go to this one, this incident. Let's load it. I know I'm admin. Okay, before I go there, let's open F12. So in some of the laptop you might need to use function F12, and so here you can see the dev2. You need to open those. Okay, this is the console. So you can see some errors. If there are, it will appear here. You have an option here to clear it. Okay, now we are trying this option. So let me, you can see here, it actually appeared here itself. This is not a function, right? So such type of errors occurs actually. So on change, because this is on change, and on change, if there are any errors, it will appear like this. So it's not always appear at this particular place where we can see. Okay, sometime if it's not okay, so I just revert it because sometimes it doesn't appear at the place where we can see it. Sys_id, and let's pick this ID for this particular incident. So I can click here, copy this ID, take it here, and hard. So it will fetch one record only, and then I can say while gr.next gr.description equals to made a mistake. This is client script. Okay, that's it. Okay, so this is loaded now, and let's go to incident. Let's again load the form. Okay, this is on load. If there are errors, it will show like this. Let's clear it up for now. So any errors on load will appear in the console if it's related to the client script. Okay, we also discussed one more point here, response time indicator, right? So let's have a look on that also. So I'm admin, I know. Response time indicator is basically here at bottom. Most you can see this indicator. It shows what all UI policies are actually triggered, what all client scripts are actually triggered, and how much time. Okay, so for now, let's make the change here quickly. 33. Okay, it did not appear, but it did not show any error as well. It did not work well as well. Okay, so yeah, it did not work. It did not cite the description, but it did not show the error as well. Okay, so this is not working. So our code is not working, although it did not show any error here. But that's how, these are the ways we can figure out. So sometimes it shows in console, sometimes we need to go to this particular response time and check if there are any failures, because all those failures will appear in this red color, and that's how we can debug. This is the last point where we are talking about the script versioning. So whenever we make some changes in any of the scripts, so in this script I made some changes and it created the versions, you can see here, right? You can open and change and restore to any of the version. So let's say I know like this could be the right version, this could be the initial version where I should go in. So I can open it in a new window. I can also compare. Okay, so there are options to compare as well. It's a little slow. Let's open this record. And we know this is the base version. So we can scroll on and we can revert to this particular version. Okay. So now this particular record is actually reverted to the initial value. Okay, so this was the initial one. Set mandatory to true. The effect was on change of priority. And we also have the options here to compare the different versions. So we can select two here and we can compare. So it tells us like the version which we are selecting, one is the right one or this is incorrect one. So we can see here the current version. It shows the differences and the existing and current values. So if there are script changes happens here, it will be visible here. And accordingly, we can select the right one and we can revert or merge like that. Alright, that's it for the day. There are some practicals that you can do. In our next session, we will cover the UI policies, and then we will cover the catalog, client, and the UI policies together. Thank you.